Morning everyone. I wouldn't be normally up at this time in the morning making videos, but I had another, what do you want to call it, comment last night on an older video of mine about the air compressor that I had in Australia, and basically that I was lazy and my, because I blamed the air filters for my old compressor for it. Basically, not long before I sold it, was getting really heavy and breathing and all that sort of crap, and didn't last very long. But I thought, just to prove a point, this compressor here, I probably bought that in 2002 or 3 when I bought my first house. And I would have been probably, how old would I have been? About 28, I suppose, when I first bought my first place. I actually owned my first house. And I had about a 6 by 7 metre garage, like a double garage. It was a bit extra depth in it. I bought that to work on the car that I had last, and actually the one before I had that, which was a Valiant Charger, and then I used that for VC. I ported headwards with it, I've done sandblasting with it and all that sort of stuff. My father had a huge compressor, which was probably 130 odd litres with a big twin cylinder on it, belt driven. We swapped because he wasn't doing as much work with his big old compressor, and I was doing more spraying and stuff. And when I was here in 2012 or 14 or whenever the last time I was back here, and then left in 2017, I swapped them compressors. So I had his big old one, and he's had this one ever since. Now these guys really bloody annoy me, because I said in that last video that the filters in it were shit, and I still stand by that, because the only thing I could relate them to would be my partner's had fish tanks quite a lot over the years, and in the water filters in them, they got like a real sort of open weave gauze type filter, like sort of sponge filter that filters water, and they're very almost like meshy sort of thing, but they've got quite big open holes in it. And this was sort of a similar thing. It was a little bit more tight, but still very open holes in it. And basically, as far as I was concerned, that was a poor filter design. Like if you had that on a car or a truck or a motorbike or something, and you were tearing up and down a gravel road, the thing would die pretty quick. And that was the same. Ideally, the environment I was using my last compressor in, like in a small shed, sandblasting underneath the car, which I'd probably done for, I don't know, probably say 10 days, like when I was cleaning up underneath the bottom of that car off and on, and sandblasting on piece. That wasn't the ideal environment for air compressor to be in. But generally, I was just using it, blowing down some dust and dirt and shit, like from cleaning body filler off an old car and bits and pieces, and using it to blow a bit of air around, or run an air tool, or maybe doing a little bit of spraying. I had it for probably 18 months to 2 years, or thereabouts. And it wasn't until it started breathing heavy that I actually had a decent look at the air filter, which was probably, probably a bit over 12 months, or say 15 months. So probably about a year and a half before I actually had a decent look at the probably air filters thing. And it was mainly because I actually knocked one off. So this is the air filter for that. If you look down in here, that's got a paper air filter on it like a car. I'll pause the video for a minute, and I'll open this up. I'll show you what the other side of it looks. I can guarantee this is probably might have been open once or twice in the time that between my father and I've had it, because I went to Australia in 2009 the first time, and my father had both compressors, and he used this more than he used the big one because this was easier to run. So I'll pause this and I'll come back to you in a second. Alrighty. Case in point, this is an air filter. I would class that as an air filter. That was a cheap compressor at the time in 2002 or 3. Whenever I bought that, I bought it from Super Cheap here in New Zealand, when they first come to New Zealand. This is probably the original filter out of it. It's probably been blown out a couple of times. But case in point, that is a fucking air filter. Not a open weave gauze. That's crap. That sucked all the shit in from outside when I was sandblasting underneath the car, and the shit went straight through it, because that air compressor, when I was before I left, was breathing heavy. It was blowing oil through the air lines. This here is 17 years old. It's done a shitload of work. Like, as you can see in here, Dad's painted like other stuff with this. I've painted stuff with it. I've sandblasted with it. I know Dad sandblasted with it because he's got that, wherever it is. That might be over in the other corner. Oh, over there, that white bucket in front of that rugby. That's got grit in it. It's just a home sandblasting kit from 40 years ago. That's an air filter, not an open gauze sponge filter. Right, that's an air filter. So to all these, these probably 2 dickheads that have watched my video and said, oh, it's the environment it was in, and whatever. I still maintain that if the air filter was like that, that compressor would have been still running sweet as and not heavy breathing, and you'd blow it out every couple of years. Case point and proven. Bye.